Translate this right, Joon-woo said, sliding a blood-stained phone toward her. Or someone dies tonight. Chidi's fingers trembled as they hovered over the cracked screen. The device sat between them on the polished mahogany table, its surface reflecting the dim overhead light of the private room. Around them, 5 men in black suits stood motionless, their hands resting near concealed weapons. The air smelled of expensive whiskey and something metallic she didn't want to identify. Hey fam, you wouldn't want to miss any bit of this story. Kindly hit the like and subscribe button to stay updated. Your support means a lot to me. She picked up the phone, careful not to smudge the dried blood on its edges. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but she kept her face neutral. 3 months of working as Joon-woo's interpreter had taught her that showing fear in his world was a death sentence. The voice on the recording crackled to life. Igbo. Her mother tongue. The speaker's accent was unmistakable, thick with the cadence of Lagos streets. She translated mechanically, her lips moving while her mind cataloged every word. The shipment arrives Tuesday. Apapa port. Container 4577B. Tell your Korean friends the price has doubled, or we find new buyers. Simple enough. Business as usual in Joon-woo's underground export network. But then the voice continued, and Chidi's world tilted on its axis. And tell them Obinna sends his regards from the grave. The room blurred. Her breath caught in her throat, trapped like a bird in a cage. Obinna. Her brother's name, spoken by a stranger on a blood-stained phone in a Seoul underground meeting room. Her brother, who died 2 years ago in a shipping accident that was ruled accidental. Her brother, whose body came home in a sealed casket with apologies from a company that no longer existed. Well, Joon-woo's voice cut through her shock like a blade. She blinked, forcing her features into practiced calm. Years of surviving in foreign countries had taught her to mask her emotions, to become whoever she needed to be. She met Joon-woo's dark eyes, those calculating eyes that saw too much. The shipment arrives Tuesday at Apapa port, container 4577B. The price has doubled. They're threatening to find new buyers if you don't agree. Joon-woo's jaw tightened. He leaned back in his chair, fingers drumming against the armrest. That's all? That's all, she lied, the words tasting like ash on her tongue. He studied her for a long moment, and she wondered if he could see through her deception, but then he nodded, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. Wait outside. Chidi stood on legs that felt like water, clutching her small leather notebook. She'd taken 3 steps toward the door when the first gunshot shattered the window. Glass exploded inward like deadly rain. Someone shoved her to the ground, and she hit the floor hard, her cheek pressed against cold marble. Shouts erupted in Korean, rapid-fire commands she barely processed through the ringing in her ears. More gunshots. The acrid smell of gunpowder filled her nostrils. Strong hands grabbed her arm, hauling her upright. Joon-woo. His face was inches from hers, blood trickling from a cut above his eyebrow. Can you drive? What? Can you drive? He repeated, already pulling her toward a side door she hadn't noticed before. Yes, but... Then drive. They burst into a narrow service corridor, footsteps thundering behind them. Joon-woo's security team provided cover fire, their bodies forming a human shield. The hallway seemed endless, fluorescent lights flickering overhead like a dying heartbeat. Chidi's heels clicked against linoleum, each step an eternity. They reached a parking garage, and Joon-woo threw her toward a black Mercedes. Get in. Keys are in the ignition. She didn't argue. Her hands found the steering wheel, muscle memory taking over. The engine roared to life. Joon-woo slid into the passenger seat, gun in hand, eyes on the rearview mirror. Drive. Now. Chidi slammed her foot on the accelerator. The car lurched forward, tires squealing against concrete. Behind them, men poured into the garage, weapons raised. Bullets pinged off the metal frame as they careened toward the exit ramp. Left? Joon-woo barked. She yanked the wheel, the car fishtailing around the corner. Seoul's neon-lit streets blurred past, a kaleidoscope of colors and chaos. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel, her breath coming in short gasps. Who were they? She managed to ask. Rivals. Someone leaked the meeting location. His voice was cold, controlled, but she caught the underlying fury. Keep driving. Don't stop until I say. 20 minutes later, Chidi pulled into the parking lot of an abandoned cafe on the outskirts of Gangnam. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Adrenaline drained from her system, leaving exhaustion in its wake. She killed the engine and sat in the sudden silence, listening to her own ragged breathing. Joon-woo was already out of the car, scanning their surroundings with the practiced ease of a predator. Blood had dried on his temple, dark against his pale skin. He looked every bit the dangerous man the rumors painted him to be. "Inside," he said, gesturing to the cafe's darkened entrance. The building smelled of dust and abandonment. Chairs were stacked on tables, cobwebs decorated the corners, and old coffee stains marked the counter. Joon-woo locked the door behind them, then pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. Chidi leaned against a table, trying to calm her racing heart. Her mind kept circling back to that voice on the recording. Obinna sends his regards from the grave. What did it mean? How was her brother connected to this world of blood and bullets? "You translated wrong." She jerked her head up. Joon-woo stood 5 feet away, arms crossed, his dark eyes locked on her face. "What?" "The phone call. You didn't translate everything." It wasn't a question. Her throat went dry. "I told you exactly what." "Don't lie to me, Chidi." He took a step closer. "I've been doing this long enough to know when someone's hiding something. What did the recording really say?" She straightened, meeting his gaze. "I translated correctly. The shipment, the price increase, the threat. That's all there was." "Then why did your hands shake when you put down the phone? Why did your pupils dilate?" Another step. "I notice things. It's how I stay alive in this business." Fear and anger warred inside her chest. Maybe because I just translated a threatening message for a man covered in blood. Maybe because this job isn't exactly what I signed up for when I agreed to be your interpreter. You knew what you were getting into. I knew I'd be translating business deals, not running from gunfire. Joon-woo's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Welcome to my world." He pulled out a clean phone, different from the blood-stained one, and handed it to her. "There's a message in Igbo. Translate it, now." Chidi took the device, her pulse quickening. The message was simple, just a few lines, but she recognized the syntax. Lagos street slang mixed with formal business language. She translated it carefully, word for word, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. When she finished, Joon-woo nodded slowly. "Good. Now tell me why someone would mention a dead man's name on that recording." Her heart stopped. "What?" "Obinna." He said the name like he was testing it on his tongue. "That was in the original recording, wasn't it? The part you left out." How did he know? Had he understood the Igbo after all? Was this all a test? "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice wavered. Joon-woo moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with gunpowder. "I'm going to ask you once more, and I want the truth. Who is Obinna to you?" The walls felt like they were closing in. Chidi's mind raced, calculating risks and possibilities. If she told him the truth, would he kill her for lying? If she continued to deny it, would he see through her anyway? Her phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the tension. She pulled it out with trembling fingers. An unknown number. A message in Igbo. "He didn't die by accident." Ice flooded her veins. She read the words twice, 3 times, trying to process their meaning. Before Joon-woo could see the screen, she deleted the message and shoved the phone back into her pocket. "Who was that?" he asked. "Wrong number." His jaw clenched. "You're a terrible liar, and you're paranoid. Paranoia keeps me breathing." He turned away, running a hand through his dark hair. "Fine, keep your secrets. But understand this. If you're working for my enemies, if you're using my organization for some personal agenda, I will find out. And when I do, translator or not, you won't leave this city alive." The threat hung in the air between them, cold and absolute. Chidi felt the weight of it settle on her shoulders. She'd come to Seoul for answers, taken this job because she'd heard whispers that Joon-woo's organization had connections to West African shipping routes. She'd hoped to find some thread that would lead her to the truth about her brother's death. But now, standing in this abandoned cafe with a man who could end her life with a single word, she wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. "I'm not your enemy," she said quietly. Joon-woo turned back to face her, his expression unreadable. "Then prove it." Before she could respond, his phone rang. He answered in rapid Korean, his tone sharp and commanding. Chidi caught fragments of the conversation, something about the ambush, about finding the leak, about moving operations to a secondary location. When he ended the call, his face was darker than before. "We need to move. They'll be looking for this car." "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe. Get back in the car." "I'm driving this time." They switched positions, and Joon-woo navigated through Seoul's late-night traffic with the confidence of someone who knew every back alley and hidden route. Chidi sat in silence, her mind churning. That message, "He didn't die by accident," confirmed what she'd suspected for 2 years. But who sent it? And how did they know she was here, working for Joon-woo? They arrived at a high-rise apartment building in an upscale neighborhood. Joon-woo led her to a penthouse unit, minimalist and cold, all steel and glass with a view of the Han River. Security cameras covered every angle. "You'll stay here tonight," he said, tossing his jacket onto a leather sofa. "Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't even think about running." "I'm not a prisoner." "No, you're a liability until I figure out what's really going on. You stay where I can see you." He disappeared into another room, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Chidi walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring out at the glittering city. Seoul had been her home for 8 months, but she'd never felt more foreign than she did right now. She'd left Nigeria with one purpose: to find out why her brother, a simple logistics coordinator, had ended up dead in a Korean shipping container. The official report said he'd been trapped during a routine inspection, that it was a tragic accident. But Obinna had been too careful, too smart to make that kind of mistake. Her investigation had led her to whispers of underground networks, of cargo that moved through legitimate channels with illegal cargo hidden inside. When she'd heard Joon-woo's organization was looking for a multilingual interpreter, someone who could speak Korean, English, and multiple West African languages, she'd applied immediately. Now she was trapped in his penthouse, closer to the truth than she'd ever been, but more vulnerable than ever. Joon-woo emerged from the back room, changed into clean clothes, the cut above his eyebrow bandaged. He held 2 bottles of soju and 2 glasses. "Drink?" She turned from the window. "Is that an order or an offer?" "Does it matter?" He poured 2 glasses and held one out to her. "You've had a rough night." "So have I." Chidi took the glass but didn't drink. "Why are you being nice to me?" "I'm not nice. I'm practical." He took a long sip, his eyes never leaving her face. "You saved my life tonight. You could have crashed the car, could have driven us straight into an ambush, but you didn't. That means something. It means I didn't want to die." "No." He set down his glass, moving closer. "It means you have instincts. Good ones. You knew which turns to take, when to speed up, when to slow down. That's not beginner's luck. Where did you learn to drive like that?" She hesitated. "My brother taught me. Back in Lagos, we used to race through the streets for fun." The lie came easily, mixed with just enough truth to sound convincing. Obinna had taught her to drive, but those weren't joyrides. They were survival skills learned in a city where knowing how to escape could mean the difference between life and death. "Your brother," Joon-woo repeated, something flickering in his expression. "What else did he teach you? Why do you care?" "Because everyone who works for me has a story, and yours doesn't add up." He leaned against the window frame, arms crossed. "You're overqualified for this job. You speak 6 languages fluently. You have a degree in international relations from a top university, and yet you're working as an interpreter for an organization you know is involved in illegal activities. Why?" The question hung between them, heavy with implication. Chidi could feel him watching her, analyzing every micro-expression, every breath. "Maybe I needed the money," she said. "There are easier ways to make money with your skills. Legal ways. Maybe I like living dangerously." He laughed, a short, bitter sound. "No one likes living dangerously. They just get addicted to it." He picked up his glass again. "I knew a man once. Good man, smart, careful. He got caught up in something bigger than himself, something he didn't understand. Tried to protect people, tried to do the right thing. Got himself killed for it." Chidi's chest tightened. "What was his name? Does it matter?" "It might." Joon-woo's eyes narrowed. "Obinna. His name was Obinna." The room tilted. She gripped the edge of the window frame to steady herself. "How did you know him?" "He worked a shipping route between Lagos and Busan, coordinated cargo transfers. Good at his job, never asked questions, always delivered on time. Joon-woo's voice was flat, emotionless, until he started asking questions, until he figured out what was really in some of those containers. What was in them? Nothing you need to know about. Anger flared hot in her chest. You knew my brother, you knew him, and you never told me. All these months I've been working for you. You never mentioned having a brother named Obinna, he cut her off. If you had, I would have fired you on the spot. Why? Because the dead should stay buried. He finished his drink in one swallow. Obinna died protecting cargo that wasn't his responsibility. He got in the middle of something he shouldn't have. End of story. It's not the end of the story. Chidi's voice rose, months of grief and frustration breaking through her careful control. He was my brother. He called me 3 days before he died, said he'd found something, said he was going to make it right. Then he ended up dead in a shipping container day, and everyone called it an accident. But it wasn't, was it? Joon-woo's expression hardened. No, it wasn't an accident. The admission knocked the breath from her lungs. Then what was it? Before he could answer, glass shattered. The penthouse window exploded inward, bullets tearing through the space where they'd been standing seconds before. Joon-woo tackled her to the ground, his body covering hers as gunfire erupted. They rolled behind the sofa as bullets chewed through the furniture, filling the air with foam and fabric. Chidi's ears rang from the noise, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. Joon-woo had his gun out, returning fire through the broken window with practiced precision. Kitchen! He shouted. There's a panic room behind the pantry. Go! She didn't argue. Keeping low, she scrambled across the floor while Joon-woo provided cover. The kitchen was sleek and modern, all chrome and marble. She found the pantry, searching frantically for the hidden door. Left side, third shelf! Joon-woo called out, his voice barely audible over the gunfire. Her fingers found the mechanism. The shelf swung open, revealing a reinforced steel door. She wrenched it open just as Joon-woo dove into the kitchen, blood streaming from his shoulder. You're hit, she gasped. I've had worse. Get in. They tumbled into the panic room together. Joon-woo slammed the door shut, spinning the lock. The room was small, maybe 10 feet square, lined with weapons, supplies, and monitors showing security camera feeds. Chidi watched the screens as armed men in black tactical gear stormed the apartment. 6 of them, moving with military precision. They weren't rival gang members. These were professionals. Who are they? She asked. Joon-woo pressed his hand against his wounded shoulder, blood seeping between his fingers. People who want me dead. He moved to a first aid kit mounted on the wall, pulling out bandages with his good hand. Let me. Chidi took the supplies from him, her hands steady despite the chaos. She'd done this before, patched up wounds in Lagos when hospitals asked too many questions. Take off your shirt. He complied without argument. The bullet had grazed his shoulder, deep but not life-threatening. She cleaned the wound, applied pressure to stop the bleeding, then wrapped it tightly with gauze. You're good at this, he said, watching her work. My brother taught me. The real story this time. She secured the bandage. He was a medic before he got into logistics. Said everyone should know basic first aid because you never know when you'll need it. Smart man. He was. She sat back, exhausted. Now tell me the truth. All of it. What really happened to Obinna? Joon-woo was quiet for a long moment, just his eyes on the security monitors. The armed men were searching the apartment, tearing it apart room by room. My organization moves cargo, he finally said. Legitimate goods mixed with items that don't have proper paperwork. Electronics, luxury items, sometimes weapons. Your brother coordinated one of our West African routes. He was reliable, discreet. Then, 2 years ago, he discovered something in a shipment he wasn't supposed to see. What? I don't know exactly. He never told me directly. But he started asking questions, making calls, investigating on his own. Joon-woo's jaw clenched. I warned him to stop. Told him there were people in this organization who wouldn't tolerate curiosity. But he didn't listen. Chidi's throat tightened. That sounded exactly like Obinna. Stubborn, righteous, always wanting to fix things. Then he called me, Joon-woo continued. Said he had proof of something. Said he was going to expose it. I told him to meet me in Busan, that I'd help him disappear if he gave me the evidence. He agreed. His voice dropped. He never made it to the meeting. They found him in a container at the port. They? Who's they? Someone inside my organization. Someone who wanted whatever Obinna found to stay hidden. Joon-woo pulled up something on one of the monitors. Security footage from the apartment building's parking garage. These men aren't random rivals. Look at their gear, their tactics. This is a coordinated hit. Chidi studied the screens. He was right. These weren't street thugs. They moved like trained soldiers. There's a traitor in your organization, she said. More than a traitor. Someone with resources, connections, access to my security details. Joon-woo's expression was grim. Someone close to me. On the screen, one of the armed men pulled off his mask to speak into a radio. Chidi's breath caught. She recognized that face from photographs in Joon-woo's office, standing beside him at various meetings. That's Min-seok, she said. You're my half-brother. Joon-woo's voice was ice. I should have known. The pieces suddenly clicked into place in Chidi's mind. The recording, the one from tonight. Obinna sends his regards from the grave. That wasn't a random message. Someone was trying to tell us something. Joon-woo turned to her, understanding dawning in his eyes. Your brother found out about Min-seok's side operation. That's what got him killed. What operation? I don't know yet. But Min-seok has been pushing to expand our weapons trade to work with more dangerous clients. I've been blocking him. He pulled up files on another monitor, fingers flying across the keyboard. If Obinna discovered Min-seok was running illegal weapons through our shipping routes without authorization, hiding them in legitimate cargo, he would have tried to stop it, Chidi finished, just like he always tried to stop anything wrong. She felt tears prick her eyes, but blinked them back. Not now. Later she could grieve, could rage against the unfairness of it all. Right now, she needed to think. The message I got earlier, she said. He didn't die by accident. Someone's trying to help us. Someone who knows the truth. Or someone who wants to manipulate us. Joon-woo pulled out a burner phone. Either way, we can't stay here. Min-seok knows about all my safe houses. We need to disappear. Where can we go? He met her eyes, and she saw something unexpected there. Respect. Maybe even trust. I know a place, but I need to know right now. Are you with me? Because if we go after Min-seok, if we expose what he's done, there's no going back. You'll be marked, hunted, just like me. Chidi thought of her brother, of his last phone call, of 2 years spent searching for answers. I'm with you. Then we need to move fast. Joon-woo checked his gun, wincing at the pain in his shoulder. There's an exit tunnel that leads to the parking garage next door. We have maybe 5 minutes before they find this room. He handed her a gun. She took it, checked the magazine, chambered around. His eyebrows rose. Another thing your brother taught you? Another thing Lagos taught me. On the monitors, Min-seok's men had found the kitchen. They were examining the pantry, searching for the hidden door. Time to go, Joon-woo said. The tunnel was narrow and dark, barely wide enough for them to move single file. Emergency lights cast everything in a sickly green glow. Chidi followed Joon-woo through the underground passage, her gun held steady, every sense on high alert. Behind them, she heard the muffled sound of the panic room door being breached. Shouts in Korean echoed through the tunnel. They'd been discovered. Run, Joon-woo commanded. They sprinted through the darkness, footsteps pounding against concrete. The tunnel seemed endless, twisting and turning beneath the city. Chidi's lungs burned, but she pushed harder, driven by adrenaline and purpose. Finally, they reached a metal ladder leading up. Joon-woo climbed first, his wounded shoulder making him slower than usual. Chidi kept her gun trained on the tunnel behind them, watching for movement. They emerged in an underground parking garage 3 buildings away. Joon-woo led her to an old gray sedan, unremarkable and forgettable. He tossed her the keys. You drive. I need to make calls. She didn't argue. The engine turned over with a reliable rumble, and they pulled out onto Seoul's pre-dawn streets. The city was quiet at this hour, most people still asleep, unaware of the violence that had shattered the night. Where to? She asked. Daegu, 3 hours south. There's a port where Min-seok does his private business. Joon-woo was already on his phone, speaking in rapid Korean to someone on the other end. We're going to confront him, get proof of what he's done, and end this. Chidi gripped the steering wheel, her mind racing. He'll be expecting us. Probably. But he doesn't know we're together. He doesn't know you've figured out the connection. Joon-woo ended his call and turned to her. I have allies in Daegu. People Min-seok doesn't control. They'll help us. Can you trust them? As much as I trust anyone in this business. He leaned back, exhaustion finally showing on his face. Which isn't much. They drove in silence for a while, the city giving way to highway, then countryside. Dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. It would have been beautiful if Chidi's heart wasn't so heavy. Tell me about him, Joon-woo said suddenly. Your brother. What was he like? The question surprised her. Why do you want to know? Because I got him killed. The least I can do is understand who he was. Chidi was quiet for a moment, memories flooding back. He was kind. Too kind for this world. Always helping people, always trying to make things better. When our parents died, he raised me. Worked 3 jobs so I could go to university. Never complained, never asked for anything in return. Her voice cracked. He called me 3 days before he died. Said he'd found something at work. Something bad. Said he was scared but couldn't ignore it. I told him to walk away, to forget about it. But he said some things were more important than safety. That if good people did nothing, evil people won. He was right, Joon-woo said quietly. He was dead. Bitterness leaked into her words. What good is being right if you're dead? Maybe he's the reason we're here now. The reason we can stop whatever Min-seok is doing. Joon-woo touched her arm gently. Your brother's death won't be meaningless. I promise you that. Chidi blinked back tears. Don't make promises you can't keep. I keep my promises. It's one of the few rules I haven't broken. They reached Daegu as the sun climbed higher. Joon-woo directed her through industrial areas, past warehouses and shipping containers, until they arrived at a small dock on the outskirts of the port. A man waited there, middle-aged with graying hair and hard eyes. He bowed slightly when Joon-woo emerged from the car. Joon-woo, he said respectfully. Everything is ready. Good. Where is he? Warehouse 7, just as you suspected. He has 12 men with him, maybe more inside. Joon-woo nodded, checking his gun despite his injured shoulder. Chidi joined them, and the older man looked at her with surprise. She's with me, Joon-woo said, before the man could question. Chidi, this is Tae-yang. He's been tracking Min-seok's operations for months. You knew, she said, understanding clicking into place. You knew your brother was dirty. I suspected, but I didn't have proof, and I couldn't make a move against family without it. Joon-woo's expression was pained. In this world, blood matters. Going after Min-seok without absolute certainty would have started a war within the organization. A lot of innocent people would have died. So you let him continue? Let him kill my brother? I didn't know about Obinna. Joon-woo's voice rose. If I had known Min-seok had killed someone, I would have ended him immediately. But by the time I learned about your brother's death, it had been ruled an accident. I had no reason to connect it to Min-seok. Tae-yang cleared his throat. We should move. Min-seok's expecting a shipment at noon. If we're going to confront him, now is the time. Joon-woo looked at Chidi. You don't have to come. This ends badly no matter what. You can walk away, go back to your life. She met his eyes, seeing the man behind the reputation, someone who carried his own burdens, his own losses. I told you I'm with you. I meant it. Something passed between them, an understanding born from shared pain and purpose. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. They approached Warehouse 7 carefully, using shipping containers for cover. The building was massive, rusted metal and broken windows. 2 guards stood outside, smoking cigarettes and looking bored. There's a side entrance, Tae-yang whispered. Less guarded. They circled around, moving silently. Chidi's heart pounded, but her hands were steady. This was it, the moment she'd been working toward for 2 years. Justice for Obinna. Truth for herself. The side door was unlocked. They slipped inside, entering a world of shadows and industrial equipment. Voices echoed from deeper in the warehouse. Korean, rapid and angry. Joon-woo held up a hand, signaling them to stop. He listened intently, then translated in a whisper. Min-seok's arguing with someone about a shipment that was intercepted. He's saying it will ruin everything. They crept closer, using the machinery as cover. Chidi could see them now, Min-seok and 5 other men, standing around a table covered with documents and photographs. Then she saw the photographs, and her blood turned to ice. Pictures of shipping containers, of cargo manifests, of people. One photograph showed a familiar face. Obinna. Her brother's picture was pinned to that table like evidence, like a target. Red marks covered it, annotations in Korean she couldn't read from this distance. He kept evidence, she breathed. He kept proof of what he did. Joon-woo's jaw clenched. Arrogant bastard. He documented everything. Min-sok's voice rose, angry and sharp. Joon-woo translated, he's saying someone's been asking questions, that the interpreter might know more than she should. He's saying... Min-sok pulled out a phone and showed it to the others. On the screen was a photograph of Chidi. He's saying I need to die tonight, she finished. Joon-woo stood, stepping out from behind their cover. His gun was raised, pointed directly at his half-brother. Too late for that, Min-sok. The warehouse erupted into chaos. Min-sok's men reached for their weapons, but Taeyang and his people emerged from other positions, guns trained on the group. For a frozen moment, everyone stood still, fingers on triggers, death hanging in the balance. Joon-woo, Min-sok said, his voice calm despite the gun pointed at his chest. This doesn't have to end badly. You killed an innocent man, Joon-woo said coldly. You used our family's organization for weapons smuggling without authorization. You put everyone at risk. How exactly does this end well? Obinna wasn't innocent. He was going to expose everything, destroy what we've built. Min-sok gestured to the table. I did what was necessary to protect our business. You did what was necessary to protect your greed. Joon-woo moved closer, his gun never wavering. How long have you been running weapons? How much blood is on your hands? Less than you think, more than you'd forgive. Min-sok's eyes flickered to Chidi. And you brought his sister here? How touching. Did you tell her you're just as responsible for his death? That if you'd been paying attention to your own organization, you might have stopped me before I had to eliminate him. The words hit like physical blows. Chidi saw Joon-woo flinch, saw the guilt flash across his face. Don't listen to him, she said. He's trying to manipulate you. But he's not wrong, Joon-woo replied quietly. I should have known. Should have seen what was happening under my own roof. How sweet, Min-sok sneered. The killer and the victim's sister, united in grief. But tell me, Chidi, can you really forgive the man whose organization killed your brother? Can you really stand beside someone whose business destroyed your family? She raised her own gun, pointing it at Min-sok. My brother died because you're a coward who values profit over human life. Joon-woo's been trying to run a business with some shred of honor. You're the one who corrupted it. Honor? Min-sok laughed. There's no honor in what we do. Only survival and profit. Your brother learned that too late. Shut up, Joon-woo growled. Make me, Joon-woo. Or are you going to let your translator fight your battles? Min-sok's hand moved incrementally toward his weapon. Face it, you've gone soft. Keeping her around, developing feelings for the sister of a man who died because of your negligence. It's pathetic. Last warning, Joon-woo said. Min-sok drew his gun. 3 shots rang out simultaneously. Chidi dove left, rolling behind a crate. She heard shouts, return fire, the sound of bodies hitting concrete. When she looked up, Taeyang was down, blood pooling beneath him. 2 of Min-sok's men were dead. And Joon-woo was on his knees, clutching his side, fresh blood soaking through his shirt. No! She ran to him, heedless of the gunfire around her. Min-sok had taken cover behind the table, his men providing suppression fire. The warehouse had become a war zone, bullets ricocheting off metal, sparks flying in the dim light. Chidi pulled Joon-woo behind a large shipping crate, pressing her hands against his wound. Stay with me. Don't you dare die now. Dramatic, he gasped, but his face was pale, his breathing shallow. Shut up and let me work. She tore fabric from her shirt, creating a makeshift bandage. The wound was bad, but not immediately fatal if she could stop the bleeding. Around them, the firefight continued. She could hear Min-sok shouting orders, orchestrating his men's positions. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and Joon-woo was bleeding out. But then she remembered the phone, the blood-stained phone from the very beginning, the one that had started everything. She'd slipped it into her jacket pocket during the chaos at the penthouse, some instinct telling her it might be important. She pulled it out now, scrolling through the call history with bloodied fingers. There. Multiple calls to and from a number she recognized, the same number that had sent her the anonymous message. She dialed it. A phone rang somewhere in the warehouse, close by. Min-seok's head snapped up, confusion flickering across his face. Then one of his own men pulled out a ringing phone, looking confused. "Answer it," Min-seok ordered. The man did. His face went white. He handed the phone to Min-seok, who listened for a moment before his expression turned murderous. "Police," he spat. "Someone call the police." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Min-seok's men looked at each other, uncertainty replacing their earlier confidence. In this world, prison was a fate worse than death. "You set this up," Min-seok said, staring at Joon-woo. "You planned this from the beginning." Joon-woo smiled weakly. "Not me, but I'm not complaining." Min-seok raised his gun, pointing it directly at Chidi. "Then she dies for it." Time slowed. Chidi saw his finger tighten on the trigger, saw the barrel pointed at her chest. She thought of Obinna, of Lagos, of all the things she'd never get to do. She thought of this strange, complicated man bleeding beside her, who'd killed and stolen but who'd also tried to protect people in his own broken way. Joon-woo threw himself in front of her. The bullet meant for her heart hit his chest instead. He collapsed into her arms, blood bubbling from his lips. "No, no, no," she chanted, pressing her hands against the wound. But there was so much blood, too much blood. The police burst through the warehouse doors, armed and ready. Min-seok's men scattered, but there was nowhere to run. Within seconds, it was over. Officers flooded the space, shouting commands, securing suspects. Min-seok stood frozen, his gun still raised, surrounded by police. He looked at Joon-woo bleeding in Chidi's arms, and something flickered in his eyes. Regret, maybe, or recognition of how far he'd fallen. "I'm sorry, Joon-woo," he said quietly, just before they tackled him to the ground. Paramedics rushed in. They tried to take Joon-woo from her, but Chidi wouldn't let go. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Don't you dare leave. We're not done yet." His eyes found hers, dark and fading. "Your brother would be proud of you." Then they were pulling her away, loading him onto a stretcher, rushing him toward an ambulance. She tried to follow, but a police officer held her back, speaking rapid Korean she only half understood. The last thing she saw before they closed the ambulance doors was Joon-woo's hand reaching toward her, covered in blood. 6 weeks later, Chidi sat in a small office at the Korean National Police Agency, translating documents for an Interpol investigation. The autumn sun streamed through the window, warming her shoulders as she worked. The case against Min-seok had been airtight. The photographs, the documents, the testimony, everything pointed to years of illegal weapons trafficking, money laundering, and murder. Obinna's death was officially reclassified as homicide. Justice. Finally. But justice felt hollow when weighed against loss. She finished translating a manifest and added it to the growing pile. As she reached for the next document, she froze. Joon-woo's name stared up at her from an Interpol file marked fugitive. According to the report, he disappeared from the hospital 3 weeks ago, despite injuries that should have kept him bedridden for months. Multiple agencies were looking for him. There was a warrant, charges pending, a whole legal machinery grinding toward his eventual capture. Chidi traced his name with her finger, remembering the weight of him in her arms, the blood, the desperate fight to keep him breathing until help arrived. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. A message in Korean. "Thank you." She smiled faintly, then deleted the message. Outside her window, Seoul bustled with life. Millions of people living their ordinary lives, unaware of the darkness that moved beneath the surface. Somewhere in that vast city, a wounded man was hiding, recovering, planning his next move. She returned to her translations, to her ordinary life that had become extraordinary. In this work, she could do some good, could help bring criminals to justice, could honor Obinna's memory by finishing what he'd started. But late at night, when the office was empty and the city lights sparkled like scattered diamonds, she sometimes wondered if she'd see Joon-woo again. If somewhere in the shadows, he was watching over her the way he'd once promised to do. She closed the file and picked up her coffee, staring out at the city. "He taught me that some truths can only be spoken in silence," she whispered to the empty room. And in the silence that followed, she could almost hear her brother's laugh, approving and free. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that subscribe button, like, and let me know in the comments what you thought about Chidi and Joon-woo's journey. Would you want to see more stories like this? Turn on your notification bell. And thank you for being here. Your support means everything.